Greetings from the Jazz Cloud. I'm Richie Zellon, and I want to welcome you to the Jazz Guitar Channel. Early on in my career, I remember hearing a great jazz player saying that if you want to grow your improvisational vocabulary, you've got to listen to the masters and steal like crazy. I took his advice and I began to transcribe anything I heard by my favorite players that really caught my ear. And so in this video, I want to share with you 5 phrases that I transcribed from one of my favorites, that is Wes Montgomery. And these transcriptions reveal the genius in how he structured his lines. And to show you this, not only am I going to play each line, but I am going to break it down for you and analyze it so you can better understand what makes them tick. The first lick, which incidentally I rather call phrase, is from Wes's solo on Gone with the Wind off the album The Incredible Jazz Guitar. And this is over a couple of 2-5-1 cadences in the key of E flat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's analyze this. Starts over the 2 minor 7 chord, in this case an F, F minor 7. This is a beautiful arpeggio. It includes all the upper extensions of the Dorian mode. It has the the basic chord, flat 3, 5, flat 7, and here are the 2 extensions on top, a 9 and an 11. Beautiful. So it starts with a 8-note triplet pickup, and then goes into the first beat of the measure, and then it shifts over to the 5 chord in the middle of the second 8-note triplet, 3, 5, flat 7, flat 9, flat 13, and the 5th of the B flat, F. And then goes to the second measure, E flat, major 7, the 1 chord, another arpeggio here, 7, 5. And then he does a double chromatic approach to the 3rd of the dominant that is played over the 6th degree of the key, a C7. This is the secondary dominant of the 2 chord, that is the F. C7 resolves to the F minor 7 again. But what he does is to the 3, and he plays the flatted 9, leaps up to the flatted 9, and then he plays a chromatic to the 5, flat 7, and goes over to the flat 3 of the F minor 7th chord and plays a little sweep there, flat 3, flat 7, 5, flat 3, and then does an 8th note anticipation to the flat 13 of the B flat 7, and goes over to the 3rd, this D here, plays another little sweeping arpeggio. So 3, 1, sharp 5 or flat 13. And then does an enclosure to the 1 in the E flat. So he does an enclosure from the 2, 7, 1, goes up the arpeggio. 3, 5, 7, and ends on the 13. 1, 2, 3, 4. And for our second phrase, here is a 2-5-1 in F off of Wes's solo over Satin from the album A Dynamic New Sound. And before I continue, I just want to add that I have posted my entire transcription of this solo in an earlier video. So for those interested, I will place a link in the info section down below. 1, 2, 3. Okay, he starts with a little pickup over the F, which is the 1. Then he goes to the 2 chord here. Does a double chromatic approach to the flat 3. Comes back to that initial note, which is now acting as the 11th. Goes 2 to 1 or 9, 1. Then plays a little chromatic to the flatted 7. It's always good to see the underlying chord there and understand the function of the intervals that you're playing in relationship to the chord. So, and then goes to the C7, flat 9, plays the 3, flat 13, and then down to the sharp 9, flat 9, 1, flat 7, flat 13, and a 3 again. That's the scale, or the arpeggio, better said. And after he plays that final 3, he's over the F major 7 chord, and he plays an enclosure to the 1. And if I recall correctly, in the previous phrase, he also did an enclosure like this one to the root. So the enclosure is 2, 7, and he goes up the arpeggio, which I also recall he did in the previous phrase. So 7, 3. He ends on the 9 here. Beautiful. 1, 2, 3. Hope you are enjoying this lesson, and if this is your first time, please consider subscribing and don't forget to click the bell icon so you won't miss any of my upcoming lessons. For our third phrase, I'm going to show you a beautiful phrase over a minor 2-5-1 cadence that Wes played on his solo to Beaux. And those of you who speak French, please forgive my pronunciation there. This is off an album that was originally entitled Wes Montgomery and His Brothers and was later reissued as The Groove Brothers. It also happens to be the first album that fell into my hands by Wes when I was first getting into jazz. And because it was so influential and made such an impact on me, I transcribed a lot of material from it. So the remaining phrases will also be from this same solo and recording. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And here he's over a B minor 7 flat 5, goes to an E7 flat 9, and ends with an A minor major 7. So he starts over the B minor 7 flat 5 using notes off of the Locrian mode, flat 7, flat 3, or flat 5, flat 6, and then he goes to the E7 flat 9 to the root, flat 7, flat 13, chromatic passing tone to the sharp 11, leaps up to the flat 9, and does a double chromatic anticipation that targets the 5 of the upcoming A minor chord. Plays the major 7, and then does another enclosure to the 1. Wes loved those enclosures to the 1. 2, 7, enclosing the 1. 5, 4, flat 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. If you're having a hard time understanding the analysis of these phrases, either because you don't understand the theory and terminology I'm using, before continuing, I just want to add that I have a couple of comprehensive online courses where I explain all this stuff step by step, as well as its practical application in many careful structured exercises. It's called the Bebop Guitar Improv Series, and you will find a link in the info section down below if you're interested in checking it out. Continuing with our fourth phrase, as I said previously, it's also off the Groove Brothers album, and again the same minor 2-5-1 cadence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And this is the same progression that Wes used over the last phrase we analyzed. It's off of the same tune, similar section. But this time we're doing it over a different fingering in a different region. So he starts, so he does an approach from the 4 of the B minor 7 flat 5, an approach to the flatted 5, and then he uses the same motif, but this time it takes on a new meaning because he's now thinking of an anticipation to the 5 chord, the E7 flat 9 that's coming up. So now this is more like a 1 in relationship to that new chord. 1, and now this becomes the flat 9. Back to the 1, flat 13, chromatic approach to the sharp 11. And now he does an enclosure to the upcoming 5 over the A minor major 7th chord, and this is an anticipation, so there's an enclosure to, that's the 5 in the A minor chord, flat 3, 1, 5, major 7, 5, flat 7, 5, And actually these last two notes, the last two notes of the first measure of this A minor, the flat 7 and the 5, are acting as an enclosure to the 13. So those two final measures over the A minor one, two, three, four, 1. Before teaching you the final phrase, I've got some good news for you. All of these phrases are available absolutely free in a PDF book I wrote called 20th Century Jazz Guitar. And it's available for download from my website by just subscribing to my free newsletter. It includes 2 more phrases by Wes and a bunch of other transcriptions from all of the most influential jazz guitarists of the 20th century. So for those of you interested, you will also find a link in the info section down below. And now for our final 5th phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here he starts on the end of 1 over an A minor to 5 to G. So flat 3, 5, flat 7. You see how Wes constantly uses the arpeggio as his foundation? And then he does a 3-note enclosure to the flat 3 here on the 4th string. See, this is a 3-note enclosure. Below, above, below again, and finally resolving to his target, which is the flatted 3. Of course, I'm playing it here. So 1. Then he goes to the second measure here, to the D7 flat 9. Beautiful. Flat 9, 3, 13. 5, 3, sharp 9, flat 9. And we're over the 1 chord, landing on the 5 of the chord. 5, 4, 3, 7. There's that enclosure to the 1 that Wes loves to play again. 2, 7, 1. Always followed by a triplet, 8th note triplet arpeggio. So 7, 1, 5, 4, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I truly hope you found these 5 phrases as interesting as I did. As I don't believe in playing licks, I hope that you'll be able to adapt them to your playing and adapt the different concepts, that is, that make these lines so great. As usual, I really appreciate your comments, and if you enjoyed this lesson and haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Peace be with you, and I'll see you in the next lesson.